Hello and welcome to my new matte painting tutorial where I'll be going through different things so that you can enjoy and have fun. Thank you. So currently my configuration is NVIDIA RTX 3070 laptop GPU and CPU is a 4-core i7-11370H and my current RAM configuration is 16 GB. Right, so let's jump into it. So before we jump in, let me do some tweaking to my GPU. Where if I open my GeForce Experience, I'm going to switch to Drivers tab and click on these three dots. Right, this is the driver settings. So I'll be choosing to work with Studio Driver whenever I'm using 3D applications or Studio app applications or whatever artistic or creative apps, right? So it's already selected. I switch to Studio Driver and now my first app of choice will be NVIDIA Canvas. So NVIDIA Canvas I'm currently using the updated version. So whenever you are looking you might be having different settings once you jump in. So these are the different settings or the workflows, right? This is just AI painting for 2D workflows and this is for 3D workflows. Before we jump into 3D workflows, let me give you an introduction of how the application works so that in the future we can jump to the panorama. Even though it is a beta version, we can still work with it. So we'll be using standard for now so that we'll be having a wallpaper material at the end of this tutorial, right? Okay, got it. So I'll be hitting continue. And for this I'm using my Wacom tablet so that it'll be easier for me to sketch. So this is the work area. You can work here as well, but the thing is here you'll have more pointers. So coming to the workflow, this is your menu tab. This will be a tools tab where you have different tools like brush or line tool or an eraser tool, a fill tool, material picker, pan, hand pan. So these are the different tools which you can just select by clicking, and here you will have a recent materials list, or this is where you can choose. If you are left-handed, you can choose to have this elsewhere here depending on your workflow, but right now let's just keep it at default. Now before I start working directly on this, I would like to add a layer so that this layer, it won't be visible. It can be visible, doesn't matter. So why I keep a layer below? Yeah, you can switch the layers. It is not like it's permanent or anything. It's just that it eases my workflow. So if there are any corrections or if I have to revert back to previous settings, sorry, previous previous result, I would like to keep it that. So these are the different materials you can work with. So first let us just start with basics. So I'll choose the brush tool, which is a basic tool, and I'll just increase the size. The size of the brush can be increased here, as you can see. Here it's like this. It will be just a small speck. This is the maximum setting, and you can see alongside that as soon as I sketch the clouds, you can see it's working here, right? It's easier for you to work here because yeah, you can directly sketch here as well. It is not a big deal. There's not much of a difference. but the composition comes out well when you do it in the left hand side. This is more of a freestyling style, and this is more of an organized way of doing it. So either way, whichever suits you, you can. So the clouds are just randomly arranged in a way which is like kind of realistic. Let us not make it like too fantasy. Like, even though it is a fantasy painting, let us not make it too much of a out of the world looking. So here you have different variations you can work with. So whichever suits our mood or a mood board. Yes. And then after I do the clouds, these are switchable along the way. So whichever is presentable, whichever fits in along the way, that is the best, I would say, to work with. So now coming to the main, let us make it more fantasy. Let us not make it realistic for now. That is not a problem, I guess. So I would not leave much of an empty space because it's just a small area. If you think about it, I would not leave empty spaces as much. Even I would rather fill it with clouds. Here are different variations as well, where you can choose aesthetic of the image, but we'll not be fiddling around too much. We'll just set into one, and if and only if the result of a different variation comes out better than what we illustrated, then we can switch over in the end. So it doesn't matter, as long as you get the result of what you're looking for. It doesn't matter which variation you start along and which variation you change along the way, or switch back, switch forth, use two different variations and present them equally. So it is all there. It's an option. It's open to your interpretation, right? Now we will use this new layer. So we'll be using different layers for different elements. So this will be our cloud layer, right? This will be our mountain layer, right? You have to press enter for to register. You just click along and click elsewhere, it is not registered, which is funny, but it's fine. So let us experiment a bit before we jump in, right? So I'll use this hail material to see how it interprets the AI interpret. So this is an AI tool. It is not completely human inputs. The AI will enhance your inputs using your GPU, right? So here it is using my GPU, and to a certain extent, it's not GPU heavy as well, but you need a GPU, NVIDIA GPU, to run this application. Unfortunately, it doesn't run on Radeon as for or AMD GPUs as far as I know, which is unlike AMD. NVIDIA doesn't leave it to open source basically. This is fine, and I'll be adding a bit of mountain elements so that it'll become more rocky above the hill as well. So that, see, I'm merging two different materials in the same layer so that the AI will know that this is half hill and half mountain, right? Even if you can make a complete mountain, it's fine. But the thing is, certain, as you can see here, these ridges won't appear naturally in a mountain. It will appear more rocky. So that is not what I'm looking for. This is a humongous mountain right now. and we'll check different variations and how they are. This is not what we're looking for, so switch back, switch forth, see what works for us. Right now, the best option for us is whatever we are working with. This looks cool, but not really. So yeah, this is what we are kind of working with. You can hide different layers here in the eye icon so that you will know which layer is active, which layer is not, and the selected layer is highlighted. The thing is, you can, these are the different variations in the same versions, right? This is the first version, second version, third version, so on and so forth. These are the different variations of the same version. And this will be different, see, but not completely. The basic elements and basic composition will remain the same. The skeleton remains the same with the, so it is better to keep track of where your variation was and what your best variations work and how they are presented, right? So right now our variation was 7 for the second type. And now coming, these are styles and these are variations. Okay, so we'll add more of a snow and see how it works. We'll choose this layer. Just Control Z or revert undo here, and it'll come back to where it was actually. So there's not a big deal where you often do certain mistakes, or when you're experimenting along you might do some, there might be a mishap of certain variables, so that's fine. I'm trying to make a river here, but unfortunately it's not registering. We go ahead and erase certain parts so that, as you can see, this is a complete landscape on its own, which is, it looks nice. Selecting the brush tool again, and so whichever fits your lore basically, right? This is fine for me because I want it to be more subtle rather than vibrant or realistic, so this is what I'm going with. Then I'd add another layer. This is our water fog layer. So the thing with fantasy is the more you keep hidden, the more it works fine. Again, I'll be undoing that mistake. There will be, yeah, this is what the look I was going for. I wanted more, a bit of a fog. And now coming to the main thing, this will be flora. So this will be the flora layer where I'll be adding bushes, trees, a bit of stone, and mainly flowers. So let us start working on the so the background will be the cloud, and the middle of this will be mountain, one waterfall, and the foreground, which is right up in our eyesight, will be flora. So that will be more presentable. And now let us add another mountain so that it will look more of my mountain has another friend. Something. Yeah, right. Super. As you can see, it's fine. It's kind of there. Just want to be more evident. This is what I was looking for. Works fine, and I have to erase the middle part where the mountain is appearing out of nowhere. As you can see here, this is where the mountain was, and I'm erasing it, giving it a bit of shape. Thing. Add a bit of fog. It is not that evident, and clashes with this when it comes to foreground. This will be too much blur, so let us not do that. And now coming to the flora, our main layer. First, before I add anything, I'll be adding bushes so that the AI knows that this is land. Right, sorry. The AI will know that this is. You can work with flora directly, like this. This is our main element for this painting, but I don't want it to be too much of an. Let's see how I've added, and I'll be reducing the size a bit so that individual elements stand out, not like a ridge line completely. Individual plants, individual everything. So yeah, it's fine. Then I'll be adding a bit of grass to neutralize a bit of elements, not like completely just bushes. And then I'll add a few trees and see how it works. I have to be using a bit of thinner so that, yep, this looks like more of an abandoned, not really abandoned, but more of a very lonely but yet ethereal kind of views. It does not bring too much of trees here as well. Like it's fine as long as they're just there for the presentability of the painting. And I'll be adding a bit of bigger trees as well so that it makes it appear as if there is a whole forest before you can see the actual mountain, right? As you can see, I'm adding more and more of trees, and the AI is just enhancing the. And yep, as you can see here, there is a tree line here. And now coming to there is a bit of blurring here. That's fine because we are going to cover it up with flora. And now I'll be adding another layer. This will be a trees layer. And this will be our flora layer now. So once you start adding the flowers, the colors become more vibrant because the AI is just, it is substantially making sure that the flora stands out against the trees and bushes. So until then, it just merges every other element. Now, since the flora is here, it is just bringing it on and making it more vibrant as what I've observed with this AI. So that's the main reason why I'm using flora or flower basically, flower material, because that just pops the whole thing. So this is our actual composition, although it doesn't make any sense. Here you can see the end result, right? So now coming to the, let us, before we jump in and do any conclusions, let us save, since we have already worked on this and created a composition, let us save our file as can file. So I'll be using this as matte wallpaper. So this I'll be saving in my desktop. Awesome. So it's saved. It saves instantly. There's no delay or anything as far as I've seen. And now coming to the main thing, since we have already done so much, let us not overdo it. So we'll go to variation one and see how it is presented. This is not actually what, it doesn't work. This doesn't work as well. This definitely doesn't work. This, nah, yep, this is ours. Not much. Just too realistic. So, whoa, what the hell is this? So AI has different scenarios in its mind, and variations just helps the AI to analyze and narrow down the results for us about how it is presented. We'll go to different this thing. This is wow, this is superb, but cool, fine. And this looks cool too. This is actually pretty nice. And the variations of this will be slightly different from what is already there. So variation 7 was our, I think this is also nice. This looks ultra realistic kind of way. This looks realistic, but we're not going the realistic route for now. These and these two, the type 2 and type 4 are too good. And let us do one thing. Let us export both of them so that you can, to export, you can go to this export tab. This is since the menu, this is new files, this is open file, this is save file, this is export, this is undo, this is redo, this is a zoom in zoom control so that you can work with different tools. I choose it to be, you can just use map view and you can just enlarge it so that you can easily work on this. And just, yeah, it's fine. Type 2 and type 4, so we'll be exporting both of them. So I'll hit the export button and it will be asking me different, let us for now use PNG files, which is an image format. This will be one on, keep it simple, and this will be two. EXR is an environment map which you can use for Blender or basically any other 3D application which supports EXR files. Blender is mostly what I use for when building not LUTs, environments and world images. So this is EXR file which I'll be using. Oops, not EXR. This is actually PNG which I'll be using. Now, since we have exported, let us just save this and quit